In this tutorial, I'm going to create this simple table and chair using a series of polygon cubes. I'm going to start by making sure that my hotbox, I'm going to hold on the space bar to get it. Under Create, that polygon primitives is set for interactive creation. That will allow me to draw the footprint of each piece of geometry in its respective orthographic view to create those pieces in the right orientation. I'm going to start with the top view, and in the top view I'm going to create the seat part of our chair. I'll hold the space bar down. I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Cube, and now I can click and drag a general shape that I might want for the seat. I'm going to go to my perspective view now by tapping the space bar once, and in the perspective view I'll click and drag up to introduce some thickness. Now at this point, if I wanted, I could hit R on the keyboard and I could further scale that thickness to what I might desire. Now usually with a chair it's tapered in the back, where the back legs go up and rise to where the back part of the seat are. So I'm going to right click and choose Vertex. I'll hit R on my keyboard and I'll taper this polygon cube at the back. I'm going to right click and return to my object mode and save. Now we're going to create the legs for the chair. I'm going to return to the top view. And you can see in my top view that I am in the wireframe mode for that piece of geometry. If you recall, when I hit 5 on the keyboard, I get the filled-in geometry, but if I hit 4, I get the wireframe. It's going to make it easier for us to draw the footprint for the first leg. So once again, I'm going to hold down the space bar. I'll go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Cube, draw the footprint for the leg where I might want it to be. And once again, now I'll go to my perspective view, hit 4 to go to my wireframe, and then I'll drag up or down to give it the scale. Probably down's a better way to go with this now. Now I've got it kind of what I wanted, but I want to make sure that, number one, it's embedded inside the seat. I'm going to hit 5 on the keyboard and go to my perspective view so we can see what we actually have. And you can see that it's separated out from where the seat should be. So I'm going to go to my orthographic views, and I want to see all the geometry in all the windows. So I'm going to hit Shift and A on the keyboard, and it's going to zoom in on all my windows. Now I'm going to go to my side view, and I'm going to move the leg up so it meets the base of the chair, or the seat part of the chair. I'm going to hit F, and then with my Option key and my right mouse, I'm going to zoom back a little bit more. Now I'm going to click and drag up and embed that leg inside the chair a bit. Now I need 3 other of these legs. I'm going to go to the top view, and I'm going to hit F on the keyboard with the leg selected. And I'm going to duplicate one and drag it across to the other. So I'll hit Command D, and then I'll drag the duplicate across. I need 2 more in the front. I'll hit Command D, drag it down, place it where I think it would be appropriate, hit Command D once again, drag to the right. I'm going to go to my perspective view to see what I have. I'll hit F on the keyboard with one of the legs selected, takes me right into what I have so far. And you can see that we've created those 4 legs. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to take the legs in the back and have them rise above the seating area here so that I can put the back of the chair on. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to one of my orthographic front or side views. I'll tap the space bar to go to all 4 views. I'll go to my side view. I'll hit F to get on top of that selected geometry. And I'm going to right click over the geometry, and I'm going to choose Vertex. I can now marquee select all the vertices at the top and then just drag it straight up to give it the length I want. I'm going to go to my perspective view, and I can see I've got exactly what I want for the back leg of this chair. I need another one. Most often, to keep it symmetrical and easy to duplicate, I'll get rid of this one rather than scale it and try to get the same height. I'll now select this one, go to my top view, hit F to zoom in on it, and I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate it and simply drag it over to the other side. Now if I were to return to my perspective view, I've got the longer legs in the back to support the back of the chair and the shorter ones in the front. Now we're going to create the back of the chair. And once again, I'm going to be introducing a simple polygon shape. I'm going to go to one of my orthographic views, and the one I want in particular is the one where I'm looking straight on the chair and I see both the back legs. If I would hit 5 on the keyboard, you can see that in my front view, this is where the back of the chair will be eventually placed. I'm going to hold down the space bar. I'm going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives, Cube. I'll draw the footprint of the shape I want, and I'll return to my perspective view, and in here I'll give it the thickness. Now, it's not near where the chair is. I'm going to go to my top view, and I'm going to hit A on the keyboard to show me all the geometry that's in my viewport. This will allow me to drag the newly created polygon to its destination. I'm going to go to my perspective view, and the next thing I want to do is I want to put a bit of a bend on this geometry so that it would fit the contour of someone's back if they actually sat in it. I'm going to taper it a little bit, and I'm going to go over my channel window on the right hand side. Now if you don't see the channel window, you may see this instead. Simply click on the 3 little white panels below the lock in the upper right hand corner of the application, and you will see your channels window. If I were to click on Input and then the polygon shape, it shows me these features that will allow me to edit the geometry. We're particularly interested in what says subdivision width, subdivision height, and subdivision depth. I'm interested in the x-axis. Now the x-axis, which is red, is represented by the subdivision width. So if I was to change this number to 3, I'm going to click and drag across it, and I'm going to put in 3, and you can see that it split my geometry into 3 sections. I'm going to right click, choose vertex, and I'm going to hit 4 on the keyboard so you can see clearly the vertices I'm selecting. I'm going to select these 8 right in the center. And in doing so, I can now go to my z-axis, which is yellow now. If I was to click on the red, you can see clearly that we're interested in the z-axis. And I'm going to drag it back. I'm going to hit 5 on the keyboard. I can see now that I've got what I want. I'll right-click, go to Object Mode. I'm going to select all my geometry, and I'm going to go to my dock, and I'm going to click on the Delete by Type History button. Now with all the geometry selected, I'm going to hit Command G to group, and I'm going to click on the center pivot button. This will allow me to move the entire chair, as well as scale it and rotate it if that's what I wanted. I'm now going to create the table. Now the table is very much like the workflow for the chair, only much simpler. It'll be comprised of 4 legs, not unlike with our chair, and a flat surface that will define the size of our table. Once again, I'm going to start by going to my perspective view. I'll tap my space bar, put my cursor over my top view, tap my space bar. I'm going to hold down my space bar, and I'm going to go to the hotbox under Create, Polygon Primitives, Cube. I'll draw the footprint for the shape of the table I might want. And now I'm going to return to the perspective view and drag up to introduce the thickness. Once I have the thickness, I'll move it to the height I want. Now, I'll probably just move this up. I'm going to my side view, and you can see that I've put the tabletop at about the height of halfway between the top of the chair, the back of the chair, and base where you would sit. I'm going to create the legs. Once again, I'm going to go to my top view to introduce the footprint for the shape I might want. With the table selected, I can hit F and it'll zoom me in, so I'm kind of close to where I would like to be. I'll hold down my space bar, create polygon primitives, cube, and I'll draw a footprint of a leg thickness that I might want. Now, once again, I'll return to my perspective view, and I'll drag up to give it the thickness. Now, I don't want it to go through the table, so if I wanted to, I could hit 4 on the keyboard or visually wait for the green selection around that newly made leg to be hidden inside the tabletop. Now, it seems a bit thick here, so I'll hit R on the keyboard, and I'll just make it a little thinner like so. I'm going to go to my side view. Now, I'm going to use the axes. In this case, the horizontal axis in my side view is the z-axis, and you can cross-reference that by looking at the little blue line with the letter Z in the lower left-hand corner of your viewport. I'm going to select one of the elements of the chair, and if I hit the up arrow, it selects the whole group. I can now use my y-axis to drag my chair up so that the legs rest on that z-axis. While I'm at it, in the channel window, I'm going to select group 1 and I'm going to name it chair, and I'll hit return and I'll save. Now that's okay because we've got our leg for our table in the right position. Looks pretty good. If I need to change the length of that, either the top or the bottom, just as we did with the chair, I could right click, choose vertex, and if I needed it to be longer, I could marquee select in a very broad way the vertices at the bottom of that leg and drag down if need be. Or if the tabletop were higher than the top edge of the leg, I could drag up. But that looks pretty good, so I'm going to right click and choose object mode, and I'm going to now go to my top view to introduce the 3 other legs that I need. I'll hit Command D, I'll drag it across the other side, Command D once more, I'll drag to this corner, and then Command D to deselect and drag to the final corner. I'm going to go to my perspective view. The table might be a little big, so I could simply go to my top view, right click, choose vertex. I'll drag from the bottom edge here in my viewport, and I'll make it a little bit narrower. Right click, go back to object mode, and now I'll select the 2 legs and put them back into position. I'll go to my perspective view, and now we have our table and our chair.